Hello everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Watch It Again Wednesday, where I'm republishing to YouTube older videos that I had published on Facebook. I'm thrilled to be able to present them to you as I continue to heal up from my eye surgery. I still believe that these videos have value in the content, and I hope that you feel the same way. Today's journal is called Faith in Industry. It was my first journal that I made using a 5-ring binder. Some of the things that I used in this journal were handmade flashcards inspired by Mrs. Cog on her channel. I used a variety of papers that had kind of a homemaking theme, and I based it on, very loosely actually, on Proverbs 31 and the description of a woman of excellence. The video originally aired in July of 2018, and interestingly enough, if you'll recall my first video that I showed you on worry that was called Consider the Lily, when I published that in my Etsy shop, it was almost immediately purchased by a nice lady who lived in Maine, and before she even received that journal in the mail, I had then uploaded and listed this journal that you're about to see, and she purchased this one as well. And then a few months later, she purchased the one that I've already shown you called Alabaster's Song. She purchased that one too. So it was good validation for me on my early journal making journey. She had not seen any of my videos. She just saw them from my Etsy listing, but it helped me feel like I had a good sense of purpose and that I was on the right track with trying to make journals that inspire people. I want to thank you all for sticking with me as I've had to creatively adapt to my circumstances, and I really do hope that you've been able to enjoy this series as I've republished them here on YouTube. So sit back, get yourself comfy, and enjoy the flip through. Hi friends! Welcome to Creators Call on Facebook. I'm Marcy, and I'm really excited to show you this journal I've been working on. In fact, I was working on another one. I took a break, and this one, it was in my mind, and I just had to get it out of my head, and I'm really excited because I really love how this one turned out. The base for this journal is Better Homes and Gardens Cookbook. This was published in 1968. And as you go through, you're going to see some of those fun, retro-looking, vintagey images. There are 131 pages in this journal. So when you count pages and you count one side and the second side, that's really 2 sides to each page. So you wind up with 262 pages to journal on. So that's pretty great. So let's see what's inside. Alright, so this is our inside cover, and before I go through this, I want to take a minute to thank my social media director and AV production engineer, Camille, because she's been really helping me out, and she's telling me to not say that, but it's important because without her, I wouldn't have a social media presence, so there you go. Anyhow, so this style of binder has been going around lately as I'm watching the videos, and I like it because it incorporates this 5-ring binder system from the older cookbooks and gardening journals and those kinds of things. And I think, but don't quote me if I'm, I may be wrong, I think that Gina from the Rebookery is the one who maybe kind of made this idea popular. Not 100% sure about that, but I know she uses it, and I know some of the other people that I like to watch use this. I enjoy it because it makes it easier. So you can add and subtract your pages and, put things in and take things out. And this is already a little full. So when you buy this journal, you may need to remove some of the pages anyway so that you can add your own things. But you've got lots of options for writing, journaling, pasting, and tucking, and all of that. So let's get started. I incorporated elements from 3 different books for this. So there's the original one that I found at the thrift shop, and this thing was in kind of bad shape. I grabbed it off the shelf because it was $1.59, so there you go. And I just snagged it without really looking it over. It's a little dirty in here. I've cleaned it up some, and some of the pages are very fragile, and some of these tabs, see if I can get, like this one, I ended up having to reinforce them. I don't know if you can see that, but I just glued on these ones that were kind of falling apart. It almost looked like this poor cookbook went in the oven with some cookies or something, because the pages are pretty dark and brown. So I've left in some of the original pages. I've added pages from a couple of different binder style newer cookbooks from the 70s and 80s. And then I also had found this Mary Englebreit cookbook, and I liked the colors. I liked the bright, it kind of fit in with those retro colors of the reds, blacks, yellows, and greens. And so you'll see all of that in here. There's a little bit of sewing and these fun little threads that people like. So starting with page 1, there we go. That's from one of the another style of Betty Crocker binder, actually, but it was much later in the 80s, and you could just remove the pages, and it was a lot more simple and not as pretty as this. So on this first page, I just added its own fly leaf, kind of give it an intro. And I've got this paper clip here, but it's a tuck. It's got a little flap, and you've got a recipe index card that I stamped, and the yellow's pretty vibrant, but when you add it to this book, let me tell you what, it adds an extra something, and it looks okay with this binder. And I've also added in bits of scrapbook paper from my project, so you can have extra to create with. And then I also went through one of my old, when I was younger, 1969, my mom bought me a copy and herself a copy of our church cookbook, and it had these cute little recipes. So where I found them appropriate, I just retyped them on the computer and typed them up onto little tags and things. So you've got here recipe for a home. I always want to say happy home, but it just says recipe for a home. And then I've used lots of stamping and things like that throughout. So that's in the first page. So my goodness, it's just already starting off great. So behind that you've got a pocket. Again, I used Mary Englebreit page and images, and I happen to have this washi that tied right in. And I've got a stamped bookmark, and then I've stamped some plain index cards, and you'll see those scattered throughout as well. So these are not old. These are Target from last year when the school supplies were on sale. Okay, so flipping through, I did keep all of these index pages. So you're going to have a page from the newer Betty Crocker style cookbooks. You're going to have a couple of the original pages, and I tried to keep ones with pretty images and fun things. And then again, because pages were fragile, I used hole reinforcements, and I just inked them up to match the colors that I was using in the book, and just kind of where it was needed, I added them. So you'll see that. So here's another one of those newer cookbook pages, recipe pages. And like I said, if there's too many of this kind, you can take them out and add your own things in there, obviously. Irish coffee, another vintage page. And then you've got a cardboard page here with a pocket at the bottom. And inside I just put, this is a really old recipe from a little Fleischmann's yeast booklet that I had found, and thought that was cute. It talks about tea biscuits, and we're in the beverage section, so where there's tea, there should be a biscuit. I've also included definitions, and I kind of incorporated this idea. Mrs. Cog on her channel has a description of how she adds these flashcards, and I just really like that, because as she says, you can add your own ideas of what you're thinking as you do it. So, and part of that, so I included definitions, but then I also added Bible verses that kind of went along with being satisfied, and with what God's provision, and with the idea of industry and hard work and what we're trying to accomplish. So this particular verse, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. So, you know, whether you're staying home or whether you're at work or whatever you're doing it for the Lord. So you do it well. And no matter what you do your best at it. Now on the back side here, I got another Mary Englebreit where I punched it out on a scallop circle, and I added some fabric. These particular bits are vintage feed sack fabric. Got some extra paper, and then throughout that Mary Englebreit cookbook, she had these little cutouts that were in there, and I just trimmed them out, and just fun little hints for entertaining and stuff. Her whole theme was about entertaining outside and how taking your food outside makes everything taste better, and I agree with that. So next index page, original cookbook page, and then this is a Mary Englebreit page, and I loved the image of the picnic back there, and this is in the barbecue section. So on the back side I have a flap that I folded out, or folded in, and I sewed it in place. And I just included another Mary Englebreit. You know, her pictures and her illustrations and her colors are just so bold and beautiful. So that's tucked in there, a piece of old stenograph paper, and then I had found this at a thrift store. You're invited for a potluck, so you can journal inside there. But I just liked, again, how those bright colors really fit together with the whole journal. So, like I said, I just had a lot of fun, and this actually came together rather quickly for me. Just had a blast doing that. Another original cookbook page, and one of the other binder recipes, original page. Oops. And like I said, one of the other things, this does have a little problem with a catch on the rings, and as you know, these older style binders, sometimes these get sprung a little bit, so this one is a little bit off. You just have to be careful when you turn the pages. So here we have another page with those pretty fun retro images from the old cookbooks. I followed that up with a piece of scrapbook paper. This is from Dots way back, if any of you remember Dots. And then on the back I just cut out one of the Mary Englebreit figures. It's so cute, this little girl, and added her on the back of the page and stamped here. And then here we have our bread section. Pretty retro images. Again with the rolls. It's making me hungry. Piece of cardstock. I folded it back, sewed a little pocket there, and then I've got these for the inserts. And I like how we have these cute colors, the vintage colors there in this cookbook. You just don't find cookbooks like that anymore. We have such big, flashy, glossy pictures, and it's just not the same. So on this, I did find another, I forgot to mention earlier, that a fourth cookbook I incorporated a little bit. It was also found at the thrift store from a different local church, and they had used these construction paper, colored construction paper, to divide up the sections. So where those kind of fit with the colors and things, I trimmed them down, added them into this book, so you'll see those. And then also, I have got a few recipes in here and there. Like, for example, this one right here was tucked into that cookbook, and it's so cute. It's all typed up. I like how the colors went. And then this belly band was another Mary Englebreit image. I just cut it down to fit. And another little excerpt here from the Mary Englebreit book, and I just backed it with this cute notebook paper that has multicolored macaroons. So from this point forward, I'm just going to flip through the book. You kind of know now what's in there, and I'll point things out, but I'm going to just do a flip through, and we'll speed up the video so you don't get bored and I don't spend 45 minutes of your life talking about a cookbook when you can just watch it real quick. Alright, here we go. Then here, I just wanted to mention real quick, so again, following the example that Mrs. Cogg had put in, I looked up this definition of homemaker. I just thought it was really cute because it had this graph, so I just left it on the flashcard, but it mentions that homemaker really wasn't a common phrase until mid-century, around the 1950s. It peaked, and then around 2010 you see it starting to drop in popularity again, but I just thought that was really cute. And the definition, a person, especially a housewife, who manages a home, and really most of us manage a home in one way or another, so anyway, I just thought that was cute, and I really liked the graph, so I left it on there. And then behind this flap, another recipe from the thrifted cookbook, and then another little poem that I typed up from my old church cookbook. and it's got a poem about just doing the little tasks and keeping a good attitude, and you know, just bearing in mind, keeping your perspective on why we do it. So just wanted to put that in there, a little piece of encouragement for whomever gets it. And continuing on, this is pretty cardstock. I liked the cherries because that kind of ties in with Mary Englebreit theme, as she always has so many cherries in her artwork. So I just thought that tied in really nicely. This one right here was missing its tab entirely, so I just made a new one and ran a whole strip along there and edged it with some rickrack. But you can write, if you want to go ahead and write meats or put your own heading on there, it's ready for you to go. So this was a piece of vintage feed sack fabric, and I really liked how it had the pretty bright colors that was going with the cookbook, and then also had the images of fruit and things. And inside I just tucked another piece of notebook paper, kind of looks like Mary Englebreit, and then another one of her excerpts from her cookbook. Up here I stamped a spoon. This little page was actually in the cookbook, and the lady that owned it was copying the ingredients. I'm guessing it was for her shopping list, but she was copying it actually from this vegetable beef soup right here, and so she's listed them all on this paper. So I just put that in there. I thought that was a nice little touch. And here's a couple more journal cards. These little photocopied recipes were actually, there was one earlier, actually were recipes for like happy marriage and happy home that I got at my wedding shower, and they're just so sweet. So I added a couple of those in. I thought they were kind of fun too. And another Bible verse journaling card. Everything is held together with this little tiny paper red clothespin. And on the back you have a pocket. I've added some lace. Inside is an envelope, and I like that little mason jar stamp. And then the flap just tucks into this cupcake sticker. And inside I have another one of those sheets with the macaroon and a couple of journaling cards, flashcards. Alright, that concludes my flip through of this cookbook. If you liked what you saw, please give it a thumbs up, like the page, and share it with your friends and pass it on. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you liking and sharing, and you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.